Well, our economics and business correspondent Paul Kelso has been investigating what is driving these prices higher and how to bring them down in future.
The government came to power promising to cut energy bills at the same time as cutting carbon emissions. But today, Britain has among the highest energy prices in the world.
The fundamental problem is, we cannot store electricity in very large volumes.
And a growing debate about climate policies driving up prices.
The cost of it is completely ludicrous.
So as consumers learn what will happen to prices this winter, how can we get bills down?
I think I'm paying about half the bills I used to pay.
And is there any quick fix for Britain's energy crisis? To answer the question, we need to start here.
We now take all of our gas from the national grid system.
With Tony and a phone call.
Oh, sorry, somebody is trying to get hold of me now.
Yeah, you do what you need to do.
When the national grid needs power, Tony's one of the people they ring.
Just got a call from the grid operator to say, can you start up in 85 minutes?
So you've literally just, was that your call just then?
Call to say, you've got an instruction to come on Unit 4 because the grid operator needs us to stabilise the grid in some way.
So is that routine? I mean, you scramble to get that happening? Or
No, that's what the guys are prepared to do. They're ready in the control room and they've literally just started prepping it now and it'll be on in about an hour and a half.
He's the plant manager at Connors Quay Power Station. On the banks of the Dee in North Wales, it uses gas to generate electricity that flows on to the national grid. But the 4 giant turbines, each capable of powering more than 300,000 homes at a time, don't turn round the clock. They're switched on and off as required to help fill the gaps when renewable power is not available.
If we have a lull in the wind or a weather front change unexpectedly, then there'll be a deficit of the generation required for grid stability, and we'll be asked to come on either by the grid operator or by our own trading organisation.
So that's the role that gas-fired power plays. It fills the gap in
Yes, it does, yes. Absolutely flexible generation when required.
While the UK is shifting to renewables, gas remains central. So when gas prices soared after Russia's invasion of Ukraine, bills for households and businesses followed. But it's not just about the price.
We talk a lot about gas being the reason our energy bills are so high, but it's not about how much we use. Renewables are frequently providing more electricity than gas. It's about its role, its flexibility. Without plants like this that can fire up at short notice to fill the gap that renewables can't, the grid simply wouldn't function. And the way our electricity market works, that means it's often the last and the most expensive unit of power on the grid. And that sets the price for everyone. The question of how we bring bills down depends in large part on how we break that exposure to gas prices.
The boss of one of Europe's biggest energy providers told us gas will remain central to the energy mix for years.
You're paying for the hundreds of hours when they're not used, but they're still there and they're ready to go, and they're ready to go at a moment's notice. And that has to be paid for, and we cannot predict in advance when that moment's notice will be, and that's why it's so critical.
And that isn't going to change for decades, even with more renewables.
No, I mean, the fundamental problem is, we cannot store electricity in very large volumes, and so we have to have these plants ready to generate when customers need it.
You are an international company, you operate across Europe. Can you identify the reasons that the UK's got the highest prices in Europe?
We have quite a lot of policy costs in our energy bills in the UK. If we remove those from energy bills and put them into general taxation, that will have a big dampening effect on energy prices. But fundamentally, it is about gas.
Maddie and Richard said goodbye to gas years ago. Their suburban Surrey house is optimised for low-carbon heat and power.
A heat pump can keep an old house warm then?
Oh yes, about that. It's only a question of how much heat you need. On the inside, we've just replaced the boiler.
If the government has a vision of the ideal home, this is probably it.
The main unit's out here, so it's taking heat out of the air and then taking the warmth in the water circuit back into the radiators.
So you've got solar as well?
Yes, the solar's on the roof on the south side here.
It's taken years, plenty of planning, investment and subsidy. But they are saving money.
You've got double glazing.
Yes, and we've got a battery.
Okay, so it sounds like you've got all the equipment, you've done everything you can. Can you put a number on total spend, solar power plus solar panels plus heat pump?
If we were doing it today,
Yeah.
the heat pump would be about 13, the solar panels would be about 10, and the battery would be about 4. But we've done that over 20 years.
Has it saved you money?
It saves us a lot of money. We have cheap electricity for the whole house at night, and then during the day we can use the energy from the battery first before we have to buy normal price electricity.
The story of this house is a microcosm of the energy transition. There may be dividends in future, but the upfront cost of the race for clean power is being paid today, leaving the UK with among the highest energy prices in the world. Britain's national grid was built in a hurry in the 1920s and 30s, connecting largely coal-fired power stations to cities. It expanded in the 50s as nuclear power came on stream, and in the 90s the dash for gas started to displace coal. But connecting new solar and offshore wind requires a new network of undersea cables and pylons. The biggest grid expansion will come here, in Scotland. It's the engine room of renewables, but for now, a lot of that power has nowhere to go.
Scottish wind power is going to provide a huge amount of our future electricity, but there is a problem transporting it from where it's generated in the north to the south where it's needed. The grid simply cannot handle moving that vast amount of electricity, so it has what are called constraint lines, and one of them is around here, where the grid is balanced on either side. To make it work at the moment, generators, the wind farms, are paid hundreds of millions, billions a year not to generate. The only way that will change is by building more grid infrastructure to send the power south, or finding other ways of using and storing that power north of this line.
Hydroelectricity is part of the answer. Tummel Bridge has been operating for more than 90 years, converting water captured in the hills into reliable power.
The water comes from the aqueduct up above us, 45 tonnes of water per second through each machine.
Wow.
It's a really significant volume.
And that and the noise we can hear is just the water moving.
Happening right now, yeah.
SSE has a plan to build a huge pumped hydro plant in the Highlands, using excess wind power to store water, effectively a giant battery.
We have a phenomenal renewable energy resource in Scotland and in the north of the country, but sometimes it's difficult to get that to the south where the majority of the demand is. So being able to use that electricity to pump water up a hill and keep it for when it's needed is a huge asset as we try and really have a genuine renewable system.
But the cost of managing the grid and subsidising renewables is rising, pushing up bills even as gas prices have come down. Wholesale electricity prices, set mainly by gas, have fallen from their 2022 peak to around £80 a megawatt hour this year. But subsidies for new offshore wind are rising and could reach £100 a megawatt hour next year. Stubbornly higher bills have helped shatter the political consensus.
Net zero was a Conservative policy. Why have you ditched it?
Net zero is now forcing people to make decisions which are making people poorer, and that's not what people signed up to. So when it comes to energy bills, we know that they're going up over the next 5 years to pay for green levies. When you look at jobs, we are losing jobs to other countries, industry is going, and that not only is a bad thing for our country, but it also is a bad thing for climate change, because every time you lose a business here to somewhere like China, which is still powered by coal, you're actually increasing global emissions.
Reform UK, meanwhile, have made opposition to net zero a central theme.
Can somebody help my camera get round this corner? Net zero, Richard, you call it net stupid zero. What's stupid, cutting the emissions or the cost involved in cutting those emissions?
The cost of it is completely ludicrous. It'll make no difference to the quantity of global emissions. We're responsible for less than 1%. Even if we got to net zero tomorrow, the growth in Chinese emissions would way outgrow that, and it's destroying our jobs, it's destroying our industries, it's impoverishing ordinary people. We were never told this at all.
What does the grid look like? Where are we getting our power if you're in charge? No renewables at all?
No more renewables at all. They've been a catastrophe. That's the
existing wind power, are we going to use that or not?
Until they expire, That's the reason why we've got the highest electricity prices in the developed world, because of the scandal and the lies told about renewables. They haven't made our energy cheaper, they haven't brought down the bills.
Tackling climate change remains a priority for many, but the rising cost of clean energy raises awkward questions for a government that promised to cut bills.
This government is committed to net zero, but this year energy bills have been rising even though gas prices have fallen. So I'm going to see a minister, find out what's going on. When will our energy bills come down? And could green policies actually be pushing them up?
The truth is, we do have to build that infrastructure in order to remove the volatility of fossil fuels from people's bills. We obviously hope that that will happen as quickly as possible, but there's no shortcut to this, and there's no easy solution to building the clean power system that brings down bills. And our opponents talk about gas being an alternative, but of course we would have to build new gas at huge cost as well.
The cost of subsidy is going up, isn't it? And that is driving up bills.
Well, I don't agree with that. The cost of subsidy is increasing because of global cost of building things, but it's still significantly cheaper than it would be to build gas. And look, there's a bigger argument, I think, here that we're all still paying the price of the volatility of fossil fuels. And in the past 50 years, more than half of the economic shocks this country's faced have been the direct result of fossil fuel crises across the world.
Chancellor Rachel Reeves has promised to cut energy costs in the budget to ease the short-term pain of delivering long-term gain.